Hello everyone. Assume that you already set up your Phalcon DLL and the dev tools in your system. We're going to look at how to integrate the composer to our application. If you have any background of Phalconphp framework, you may have possibly found that using Volt template engine can be very limited sometimes. We're going to swap Volt with the Laravel's beautiful template engine called Blade. Okay, let's start. So first of all, I'm going to be going to the folder, my www folder. I'm going to create a project. Let's call it project 1. Try not to mix with it. Then I'm going to get the path of this and then go to here. Just to look through the commands, and here's the one that's called project. This is the one to create a project. Phalcon project project 1. So since this is created, it's actually inside the project. Well, I'll take it off of there and write it over it. So this is pretty much it. So we got the app folder in config controllers, migration models, views, and cache. And over here we got public, and we already got some stuff already installed for us. Okay, so we got the project folder ready, and if we try to reach it, project 1, we got congratulations. Okay, well, since we got this, sorry, let's go to add it to my project folder real quick, and okay, we can exclude this one to work clean. Yes. Okay, so let's quickly look at the structure that Phalconphp already provided to us. We got the config, loader, services. This is actually the DI container. I'm going to be explaining this in upcoming tutorials. This is the controller base. This is the default controller that came with it. And we don't have any models. We got an index view. That's the view that we see when we enter here. We got the public. Nothing really much. And from here, let me quickly also install the composer. That's what we're going to be needing for this project also. So as you can see, I'm in this same path as this project. So inside the project 1, I'm going to be running composer in it. I'm assuming that you already have composer installed in your system. Okay, once I run this command, it is asking me package name. Let me just skip that. These are not really important information. Since it's asking my name, let me put my name in there. And email address skip, minimum skip, package type skip, license skip. Would you like to define your dependencies? Not for now. No. So yes. So as you can see, we got a composer JSON here. So going inside the composer JSON, this is the part that we're interested in. We're going to be defining all of our packages to here, so composer can install that for us. And also, if I load a package, composer will automatically create a vendor folder here, and the vendor folder will have a autoload.php file that we can include into our index.php file, so that all the dependencies will already be included in our project. So since we have done that, let me first install the blade. Let's see. I'm not going to be using the vault of what already Phalconphp provide to us. Comes with vault, but vault is very limited and I don't quite like using it. So I'm going to be looking for you see Laravel blade GitHub, and these guys has it. Okay. Okay, I managed to get them. So these two I added into my composer JSON, and then go to my composer and say update. So when I run this, oh, a little bit of mistake. There's a comma there. So composer will automatically load all of my dependencies. Let me wait till it's okay. As we can see, we already downloaded all of the necessary files in order Blade to work, and then as you can pay attention that I haven't run any PHP code or anything. I'm just trying to set my system up so that we can work easily. So since the composer already loaded these, let me look at my vendor. So the vendor file has the autoload here. So this is the autoload that I'm going to be including into my index.php. So what I'm going to do in my config.php file, I'm going to create a vendor, and then I'm going to define the path. Then, when I go inside the index.php, this is the part where I'm going to be defining this. So I'm going to go include. Actually, since we got the config right here, I can just do config application vendor autoload.php, and this will include my autoload in the vendor, so that all the dependencies we already installed with composer is actually compiled into the autoload class. It's inside. Where is it? Composer autoloader init. something like that. I just couldn't find where is it, so I'll just pass it on. Render, gotta put a slash in here, and this is ready. Put that over here. Let me put it inside. Oh, there's nothing outside, so okay. So what I'm doing is that for the working here, public. Okay. It's great. So in the controller, Phalconphp already provide us a routing structure such as it gets the controller, method, and the parameters, like something like this. Controller, method, parameters. So every request that we make, Phalconphp automatically assumes the URL and it just looks for the controller. If it can't find it, it will throw an error, and if it finds it, it will look for the method and then the parameters. So this is the default behavior of Phalconphp, but this is not a good, I don't think this is a good practice. I wouldn't prefer using it this way. So what this does is that if this is the index controller, it will look for the view name, start with index, and then call the index.vault. So we are going to change that. We're not going to be using it that way. We're actually going to be setting up a router, and we can add our own routers to the system and modify it quickly. So anything we're writing here, this is a test. We're not going to be able to see it because it automatically runs the view before we can see anything. So if I say construct, which this shouldn't work as well, Laravel doesn't, I mean Phalconphp doesn't allow us to use construct. Oh, forgot to put a function here. So this should not work. Yes, it says cannot override final method. So Phalconphp doesn't have such construct method. Instead, it has own construct method. This is where we can run it. So why am I using construct is that I'm going to disable the view. Disable. So that we don't have to see anything anymore. I'm actually completely getting rid of the Laravel's default Vault template system, and I'm going to be installing Blade because Blade is much better, written by Taylor Otwell, and I think it is capable of doing a lot of things, and it will help us build a better application. So what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to carry this own construct to the controller base, so we can actually, we won't have to write it in every controller. So this can stay here. Let's check it works. It works. And then it can stay right here. So here is the thing. Index controller extends controller base, and controller base is being extended in every controller, so that, you know, anything we want to throw in here will be extended by every class. So if we need to define anything global, which is a good practice. So we're here. Let's see what we can do. Still, this guy, let's say this was a test. This is broken, but it's not. This wouldn't work, so because it's not a test controller. The name of the controller was index, and it's not, it's lowercase, and the name of the method is test, like I just said. Remember what I explained earlier? This is controller method parameters. I said params for sure. And this is how the URL in Phalconphp works. So the controller name, method, and if you have any parameters, which we don't at the moment, but if we just put it in here, say ID, and just put it right here, so we would see that as well, because after for 1, 2, and the third one is starting to take the parameters. So as much as we put, it will add as a param. So it would take ID2, ID2, and let's put a slash there. So that's another one right there, and it goes on and on. Goes as much as it can. So we're going to be getting rid of the vault, and in order to do that, I'm going to be modifying the services. So I'm going to be getting rid of this guy right here. I can't delete this because the view directory has to be pointed in the application so that the application would know where to look for when it's searching for the views. So this is gonna stay like this, and I'm going to be defining the blade. Set blade function using the config. Boom. Let's get the paths. Close array. Config. Application. View stir. Renderer. New. Let's say okay, I'm just going to look for the vendor view, image view, engines, late compiler, I assume. Okay, here's our guy. So the namespace is right here. I'm gonna put the namespace and then blade renderer. Inside of the blade renderer, it gets two parameters. One is the paths that we just defined over here. It's an array. It's the path of the view folder, which is, let me close this, which is this folder, and I'm going to define this path over here as an array cache path has to be the key of the array, and I'm going to be using config application cache dir. So the cache dir is right here, pointing at path at cache. So we're pointing this cache right here. So this is done, and I may have to put a backslash there. Okay, so let me test this out. Since we got the view right there, we put another view, call it index.blade.php. So one thing about blade.php, you have to put this prefix after the name of your file. So if you are just randomly naming it, this blade.php has to be constant there. It should not be changed. So let's name it index inside the index. So it should be index.index in order to reach it. And let me put this is a test view. And if we should able to reach the blade because we defined it in here. This is our DI container. Whatever we define in the DI container is available in the controller through this. So we could, as you can see, you can use this URL, this view, this blade, db, model setup, and session. So me war dump this blade, see if we got anything available at the moment. Blade renderer. Oh, I forgot to return renderer. And check this out. Trying to call method start on non-object because I'm going to rename it back to index. What's the problem here? Echo test. That's weird. Trying to call method start on a non-object. So probably somewhere around, we forgot return view. Oh, that's it. Okay, we forgot to return the view in this one. We're not going to be using this at all, but this has to be there. Let's okay, imagine if what happens if we delete it? See, view wasn't found in the dependency injection container. I'm just going to leave it. It doesn't hurt, doesn't bother. Okay, since we got it working, I'm going to war dump it again. And we got the engine. So what I'm going to do is blade make. This is to return the view. I'm going to return it. It says it doesn't have the make method, but I'm going to make one. So what was the error? Error is make. There's no such method. render. Render makes it work, and I think I have to use this response object and then use the set content and then put this inside. Oops. And I think this should be it. There we go. This is a test view. So this the blade has to be inside the response objects method set content, and this is how we parse the view through this URL. And I'm going to simplify this. This shouldn't be the way to return a response. So I'm going to make a little solution. Let's add a folder and call it libs. This is where our library is going to be located. And go to the config. This time we're going to the loader. And then we're using the loader. And inside the loader, I'm going to say register namespaces. And put an array. Let's put a bracket. And this is how Phalconphp registers its namespaces. So in this case, I'm going to be using libs. Boom. And this is where I have to put my libs path. Libs, boom boom, app path, libs, and then come back to the loader, say config, and then application and libs. And after this, libs should be registered. Yeah, there's no problem. In order to test that, we're going to create a file and call it a blade.php. And let's quickly define our class. Boom, boom. Let's call it blade extends. Actually, yes, it will extend the blade renderer. Let's get that. We'll extend this guy. Find the namespace. In our case, it's just libs. I'm going to be using blade renderer as b renderer. Let's just say blade renderer. Blade extends blade renderer. And put a semicolon. Delete the construct and let's make a static method so it's going to be easy to test. Return test works. So we know that this method works. We can just test it right here. Enter. I'm going to use backslash before the namespace, and then blade, and then test close parentheses. Oh, 17. There's a problem in the loader. See what we did wrong. Maybe in the config. Everything seems right to me. Even in here. Oh, forgot the function test. Unexpected semicolon in the loader. Oh, this is an array, I forgot. Now it says libs blade not found. Oh, in the index controller, libs.blade. So this is not being found. I set libs inside the application, config application libs, register the namespace, and then our namespace is libs, the name of the class is blade. This should work. I don't see no reason for this not working. Libs blade not found. Why are you not working? I don't know this one. Can I do that? Just try. And it shouldn't fix it, but still don't get why it's not being found. This is how the namespaces are registered. Register namespaces. Namespaces. Oh, I'm so dumb for not saying this. Libs is actually inside the app. Oh, there we go. Okay, got it working. Let me put that back into the place. Okay. So this was an example of how the namespaces can be registered inside the Phalconphp. It's pretty easy. Just get the instance of the loader class and then run the register namespaces method, and then just put an array in, define the path, done. Close this one, and this is set for now, but I'm going to modify it now. What I have to do is that I'm going to make a function and call it public function make, and inside let me show you what I'm trying to do here. Instead of typing this, what I want to do is this blade index and make to work like this. This is how it should be, but it is not working at the moment. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to define a method here. This is our own blade function, but we're extending this. So instead of loading this renderer into the services right here, I'm going to load my own extending this one. So the method of blade renderer will be extended into my own and modifying the function. Actually, there's no method called make, so I'm making my own. In this case, I'm going to be finding the paths file, and let me look at the other one. It's in the Windwalker blade renderer right here. So we're going to be using its render method. Go for short. Oh, blade render right here. So it gets file and data. Just gonna copy it. Short. And go down. What I'm going to be doing here is that going to get the response object. Response equals new response, and then if there's a data, else there's no data. So if there's a data, please return response set content like we done it in the index controller, and then put our file and the data, and that's pretty much it. But remember, is set content was the response object. We have to put our own renderer inside of this. So we're using this render. Render is what gets the file and data. So we are actually putting this param inside the set content like that, and we're copying it. If the data is not available, we're not passing it like this. And this is pretty much what should do. I'm going to modify it to null so that we can get the right response for this if condition. So this is it. And let's go back to our services, and right about here I'm going to modify to lips/blade. Close it for goods, close it for goods, and then go back to my index. Okay, this should still respond. No, it shouldn't. Okay, it would, but also the one below should. It says lips response not found. Okay, in here I will have to use the response class, but what was it? Sort of forgot. Let's quickly look at it. Phalconphp response. Forgot its namespace. If only it will open. Jeez. Phalconphp response object. No, this is it, but HTTP, okay. I can just read it from the title. Phalconphp HTTP response. This should be it. Bingo. That'll be it for this video. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. See you in the next video.